Please introduce yourselves.
Okay, so I go by two names. You probably had Johannes, but you'll never find that name anywhere in Orange Farm. That's where I grew up. People call me Tibano, so I sort of rebranded to get into the corporate world. Yeah, so I'm a data scientist at Absa in the CIB space, which means corporate and investment banking. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah. I'm also a student like you, so I'm also feeling the pain now that exams are coming up.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Violet. I was born and raised in Pretoria in a township called Mamelodi. And yeah, I'm a graduate analyst. I joined Absa this year in February. So I was also in Madrid, so I understand what you guys are going through, and I just want to thank you for taking the time to join us today. And yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Violet.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Azri Mutero, but in short, you can call me Azri, but I only allow people to call me Azri once they have at least tried to say my name in full. So I come from Puerto, that's in Limpopo, where it's very, very, very hot. I don't know if any of you have actually gone there. So I'm just excited to kind of share around my experience and my journey. And to be honest, when she approached me to come and talk to writing a letter to 18-year-old self, I was a bit like, am I really that old way now? I have to write an 18-year-old letter to myself. So I'm quite excited to kick off the discussions and actually share on my young journey and also in terms of way forward from here. So yeah.
All right, as you are busy.
All right. Anyway, let me tell you, in grade 11, nobody could have told me otherwise. I knew that I wanted to study psychology and I wanted to become a child psychologist. But approaching people who knew me well and who wanted well for me, they said to me, oh no, you would be wasting your brain if you did psychology. You're good at math, you're good at science. Why not do anything in engineering? And I picked up the Vince catalog and I was like, yeah, mechanical engineering, a mechanic, never. Aeronautical engineering, pilot. So my mind was very, very limited in terms of what these people do. But then I saw mining engineering. I was like, what could be difficult about going underground, blasting rock and coming out of diamond? Boy, was I in for a sweet surprise all my 4 years at Vince. But the reason I'm telling you this is because I was convinced that I needed to study something else, and I ended up studying something different. So I want to ask my panelists here, what would you tell your 18-year-old self about what you want to study, what you eventually study, and what you eventually study does for you and your career?
Should I go first? Yeah, so for me, it's been, I think it's quite loud. For me, it's been a quite strange journey because when I finished matric, I think like most people, I actually was almost certain what I wanted to study, but I didn't qualify for it. So it's a different story as opposed to most people here. And yeah, I think I was invited because of that story. So I was told to lower my expectations, go to a college, and yeah, I mean, for me, that wasn't going to cut it because it didn't resonate with me. I knew that if I'm going to study something that I don't like, I'm going to have to live the rest of my life with that decision. So I actually sat down with my father and yeah, we decided that, you know what, there's no rush. And I mean, I don't see the difference now in that 1 year when I look at my peers. I took a gap year and upgraded my marks. So there is and how I got to the decision of what I wanted to start. I think we'll get into the, we get into the discussions. But for me, it was almost certain that, I mean, my maths teacher told me straight up that, you know what, you are going to be a scientist in a lab. And I feel like that even now in the institution, so yeah.
So with me, what I told my 18-year-old self was that what you think you should study is not what you should study. You need to be exposed to more things. You need to read a lot. You need to expose yourself to a lot of things in order to make the right decisions. Obviously, growing up in a house where, not a lot of degrees are known, not a lot of people who are educated are known. You only hear a few careers. So when I was in high school, they just said, in order to be successful, you only have to go the science stream and you'll be fine. And that did not work well for me. And I'll elaborate on that as we go along in this conversation.
All right. Do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'll try to add a little bit. So, dear 18-year-old me. So, 18-year-old me was already in varsity. She was doing about second year in varsity. So, I'm a numbers girl. I love numbers. I see shapes. I see whatever I see, I start counting. So that's always been my background. And growing up where I grew up in Limpopo, I also didn't have that much view in terms of the various careers. Even from a banking perspective, I didn't have a lot of knowledge in terms of the different areas within the bank, as well as from a career view, what that degree or qualification that I might get would open up for me. So in terms of what I essentially studied, so I studied mathematical statistics with an honors in stats, and right now as well I am continuing further with my studies. So in terms of how I am, I don't like to box myself in terms of saying I only do maths and stats, therefore I should stay in that facet, because I believe that it's quite powerful for you to be open to try different things. So right now I'm studying financial risk management in terms of just delving a little bit deeper on the accounting side of things as well. So for me, the biggest thing that I would like to give you guys is that in whatever you're studying, don't let that be more like tunnel vision in terms of it blocks you, therefore you need to go this way. But it's more of an instrument, that paper that you get, that you use in terms of getting into the different areas that you want to get into in your career. So be open in that respect that, yes, I have a qualification in psychology, but she's in banking. We have people who have engineering and all other facets. So the paper, yes, it's good. Of course, it opens avenue, but it should never dictate the areas which you want to land up in.
I truly agree with all three of you. I think what I would tell my 18-year-old self in that regard is, in first year, guys, when I was 18 in first year, I wanted to quit so bad. Everything sounded like Greek. But now that I think about it as it was, Delta, Gamma, hey! Math was difficult, physics was tough, and I really, really wanted to quit. But looking back now, I would tell my 18-year-old self, it's okay. You can do it, and once you do it, you will thank yourself for having done it. I thought that what I wanted to do was psychology, but at the heart of it, I just wanted to develop people, and I get to do that now. At the bank, I'm doing it right now. So what I thought I wanted, I should have interrogated even more. What is at the heart of this degree that you want? What is at the heart of this decision you want to make? And had I understood that, like Azri, I would have understood then that go with your engineering degree. It's going to open so many doors for you that you would have never, ever imagined. So I would tell my 18-year-old self, it's okay, do it. You're gonna do it well, and once you've done it, the world is your oyster. Okay, what would you tell your 18-year-old self about failure? Because I had never failed a test in my life until I got to varsity. And then I started seeing 34%. 34? Is it 34? Sir, did you perhaps write your gene size on my script by mistake? What do you mean 34? I have never ever seen a mark below 70 even, and I was shocked. So what would you guys tell your 18-year-old self about failure? And not just failure in terms of marks, but failure generally.
Yeah, I mean, this is quite a big question and one of my favorite topics, because failure for me in my life has always brought me down and to a state where I really couldn't understand how I got there mentally and emotionally. So I mean, I like this topic. I've done a lot of research on it, and there's one thing that always comes out of failure. It's a lesson. So failure, unlike success, is it sort of forced me to evaluate what went wrong, and not to fear it, but to sort of think about it and evaluate what went wrong, investigate, and action it going forward. So I mean, I just gave an example of failure when I finished my matric, and I mean, for me that's one of the big ones, but it's not the only one. I'm continuing to fail, and that's how I succeed. In fact, so after not doing so well in maths and wanting to be a mathematician, I also studied statistics and in applied maths. So wanting to be a statistician seriously, because I always wanted to answer the question on how can we predict how long someone is going to live. So I felt statistics was the right way to go. Develop a model, we can discuss it. But yeah, I mean, lessons from failure are more important, and they sort of stay longer, they linger to you more than the lessons that you take out of success. And sometimes I do feel like easy success is overrated compared to failure. Yeah.
How I look at failure, I look at it at two ways, as a lesson and also as a form of direction. Because when you fail at something, it might mean that maybe you're not a bad person, you're not bad at anything, but maybe you need to look at something else that you're actually good at. I remember I was a mentor in university for a young boy. He was the top performer in school. He was in first year and he was just failing. He was doing engineering and he was failing and he was crying. He was from Cape Town and he was like, I don't understand. I got distinctions. I was a top performer at my school. I'm here and I'm not. It was sad, and I was like, but just look at it from a different perspective. If you're failing engineering, did you really want to be an engineer? Do you really want to be an engineer? And he said, I don't know, mom and dad said, just come study engineering here. And yeah, so I spoke to him after that, like he failed everything. He was given subs, he failed. He was supposed to do another dean exam, he failed. Like he was just not passing. But after a year, he left, went back home, and then rested a bit for a year. And now he's back, he's studying at UCT, he's doing project management, and he's loving it. So yeah, so that's what I'm saying. With me, I also failed, I also saw the 34%, but that also led me to change degrees, and I'm glad I did. Because like I'm grateful for the journey that I've embarked ever since then, and I'm grateful for the failure. It was not nice, failure sucks. You just need to take it in at the moment, cry and just be mad, but then after, just look at it in hindsight and say, okay, how can I change? Where did I go wrong? And that's when your failure becomes a success story.
See, I needed this event when I was 18. I would have probably done psychology.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of some of the points that my fellow colleagues on the panel were touching on, I think they resonate quite powerfully with my journey as well. So I think I did allude to the fact that, so the way I grew up in terms of the schools I attended and all of the background was more of academics, right? So I had never failed in my life. Never. Like in my life, everything can go wrong, but never my schooling or anything like that. And then second year varsity, I failed. And I went crazy. You know, like I locked myself in my room, switched off my phone, my parents were worried. I'm laughing now, but at the time, to be honest, it was the worst thing that could have happened to me because I've never failed, and I'm having to face the reality that you're not perfect. That you are going to fail in life sometimes, you are going to have those knockdowns. And then also not only facing myself, but also facing the fact that in my mind, I'm disappointing my parents because I've always been the child who's always excelled, who's always done well, so they've always been clapping and clapping. And now it's a different conversation that we have to be having. So in terms of me having to go through that process as an 18-year-old, I think the one thing that, and also I think within that, it was also, you kind of start to question in terms of who are you? And then I went through the journey, and then I had to step back and reevaluate a couple of things in my life. Get to know myself, who I really am in essence, in terms of who are you. And in doing that, and also removing myself maybe from certain socials in terms of hanging out with certain people and all of those things, it helped to ground me. And it was more of a starting point for me from then on. But I couldn't have gone through that without having the support system of my family, as well as the friends and the people that you surround yourself with. I cannot even stress how important it is in terms of the friends and the people that you have as your support system. Because let's be honest, we're all gonna fail. It's just a matter of when, and are you gonna allow that hiccup on the road to set you back? So in life, it's about how we rise when we meet that challenge. So rise.
Love it. What I was hoping to do with this particular topic is normalize failure. Listen, I'm not saying excuse failure and don't give your best because everybody fails. No. We're all going to do our best, and if our best is really what we've given and it doesn't work out, then we reevaluate, like Johannes has said. What I would tell my 18-year-old self about failure is, for me, failure is an event. It's not an identity. You are not this failure. It is something that has happened to you. And knowing that, then I can pick myself up and say, okay, I don't like this event, let's go to another one. And we go to another one successfully, but it doesn't define who I am. And also, it's something that happens to everybody. Like as you said, I think what failure does, it isolates you, right? You start to feel like, I don't belong here. Oh no, I'm a fraud, and everyone can see. But people around you are failing as well. But we take the lessons, we take the redirection, and we keep moving. Okay, as we mentioned something so powerfully, and it's a perfect segment to what I wanted now to talk about. The people we choose to surround ourselves with. What would you tell your 18-year-old self about the friends to make and how to make those friends?
Yeah, once again, I think that's an excellent question, because if I look around right now, I am approximately my friend. My thoughts, everything comes from my friend. So when looking at friendships, you really need to think deep about people. And I don't mean if someone comes to you, you then reject them. No, can give them an opportunity, talk to them, but you have to be deliberate about the circle that comes to you. And that's the advice that I should have given myself when I was 18, and I am consistently reinforcing it. I am very careful about my circle of friends, and this is not just friends in real life, friends in social media as well. I make sure that what I am exposed to is really what I want in my life. And I think, parents tend to play, especially when you are young, around 18, parents tend to play that role for you, and you will see, I think, now that you are going to university, they will start to not be able to, it will just disappear, and it will be your chance to evaluate the right people in your life. And I don't want to bring this here, so my wife, very smart individual, she got into varsity and she got in with bad friends. She dropped out twice because of similar friends. She changed friends and everything changed in her life. That's it. So, your circle really plays an important part. And I think if I was 18 and I'm hearing this advice, I don't know how I would divulge it, but I'll make sure that I take this very importantly, because it really does play an important part in your life, the most important one. Your friendships, your parents, and your family. Those are the only things that really matter beyond academics. Thank you.
Yeah. With regards to friends, I think what helped me was to choose people who are very different from you. People from a different culture, people who look different than you, because they have different life experiences and you have your own. So once you engage with them, you start to see life in a very different way.
It expands your view.
Exactly, it expands your view. So I grew up in the township, so you see very minimal economic activity there. So when you get to university and you meet somebody who went to a different school or who lived in a different environment, and then you see how their life is, how they behave, the things they like, that contributes a lot to you. even if it's something small or just the difference makes you aware of what's happening in the world, and that's also important. And second thing is, even though we love our friends, let us not allow them to dictate how we do things. I remember when I was in varsity, I was doing a lot of extra modules which were not part of my degree, and I think as you guys are going to university, if you have the capacity, that is the advice that I'd give you. If you stick to one degree, but you have an interest in something else, see how you can add that to your modules. They'll always, obviously my friends said, you're crazy, we won't see you, you'll be doing a lot, but I'm grateful for that because I was able to find what I actually liked, and I was able to pursue that. So choose people who are different, and those people love you obviously, but don't let them hold you back from what you need to do for you.
Violence, I tried. University, I signed up for swimming. First lesson beat me and I quit. Don't quit, guys. That's the lesson. But I can swim now, so all's well that ends well.
Yeah, I think on my end, I might not touch a lot on the friends portion because I did touch on it earlier on. But in terms, I guess, of my journey and the friends that I keep, so just to give you background, so in terms of how I was with regards to making friendships, I was never into a clique. I never subscribed to cliques. I was that person where I'm friends with basically everybody. In terms of whoever it is I'm friends with, I conversate and I engage them. And that's always been the way that I do things, whether it be in my varsity days or even when right now I'm in corporate. Because you know how it is in corporate, there are cliques in your work. So don't think that in varsity you're going to get away from it when you start work. No, it's still there. But it's all about staying true to who you are. So it's very much important right now for you to get to know yourself. And that's why I advise a lot of my nieces and nephews. I'm like, for me it's important that when you go to varsity, step away from your parents. If you need to go a little bit further away, go further away. Because for me, that's when you discover who you really are. Because you get to make decisions for yourself. You get to decide who you're gonna befriend, what you're gonna do on a day-to-day basis. And that's when we truly get to know who you really are, the essence of yourself. So for me is, in terms of the friends that you make or the friends that I've made, it's always been organic in terms of forming those relationships. It's never been, okay, I'm friends with this person because I'll get this out of it or whatnot. That's never the agenda. You form your relationships on steady ground. To a fact whereby now, if there's opportunities, I'm able to talk to my friend, bring them in and stuff like that because of the foundation that's been laid. So foundation for me is very much important in terms of the friendships that you form with your respective people that you engage in life. Thanks.
One thing I did, guys, let me give you a tweak. One thing I did, I found somebody who was good in mechanics because I wasn't good in mechanics, and I befriended them. Peter Pan, his name was Peter and I called him Peter Pan. Because you need to butter people up. Oh, Peter Pan! And he helped me all the time. And I wasn't so good at physics. Please don't ask me what I was good at now. I wasn't so good at physics, and I found a friend who was good in physics. So every tutorial, I would sit next to him because I knew this one, smarty pants. So what the trick is, find people who are good at the things you're not good at and have a relationship based on that, but also have something that you are good at so that you can also contribute to the relationship and the friendship. Okay, now I want us to take a slight pivot and I want us to talk about what happens if I do not go to university. And here's the reality. Not everyone's going to go to university like we did. Some people are going to go to college. Some people may not even have that opportunity up front. So what happens in the in-between if I don't get accepted into university, if I don't get accepted into college, what do I do? What do I do?
Yeah, no, I think that's a terrific question, but I must say that the panel here seems like a very biased one because we've all been to university, so I'm going to have to draw to some of my friends' experience back in Orange Farm. So, I mean, I had friends who went to university and dropped out. I have now a friend who actually didn't go to university, has no passion of academics whatsoever. but they do like research, but they don't have any passion of academics. And it's fine. I think my friend is a musician, by the way. It's always the case. But it's a musician, and it's okay. It doesn't have to be that everyone is an academic, everyone is a genius. It doesn't have to be. And if we are all going into research, if we are all going into corporate, then what about other industries? I think maybe for me, what I said to my brother when he told me that he's not sure if he wants to go to university, my advice to him was probably make sure that you still have that option. So make sure that you do very well in high school. So that option, don't eliminate it. It's better to have something and not use it than to not have it and need it. So my advice is act as if that's your only option now, and if it turns out it's something that you don't like, you can always pivot. Like I had a year where I stayed home. So there's plenty of time. I know it seems like there isn't. There's plenty of time to pivot when you've done something right. There isn't plenty of time if you haven't done something right. So make sure that the decision that you take right now is to perfect whatever opportunity that you have. And for you right now, I think it's academics. But if it doesn't turn out well, then you can start to pivot and look around. That's the advice I gave my brother.
On this one, I totally agree with Johannes here. I think for now you can just focus on your academics and give it your best. And if it doesn't work out, well, you like me, I wanted to study something and it didn't work out for me, so I had to take a year off and think about what I wanted to do and just change my expectations. So number one, I'd say change your expectations. If you wanted to do a certain course and maybe your app score does not qualify, it's okay. See what else you can do with those marks. Those marks don't mean you're not capable of anything. They just mean that you need to just see how else you can get where you want to be. Because I think we choose courses because we want to be successful. So success is not a one-way road. So whatever happens with your matric results, when they come out, whether you qualify or you don't qualify, it's okay to take a year to think about what you can do. And if academics is not really your thing, then that's where you can pivot. But for now, I think I agree with Johannes here.
Okay, cool. So for me, the main question that I'll ask first is why? So are you saying that you don't want to go further? Is it due to funding? So if it's funding, then are there things that we can try to do to try and figure out how we can enable that? And then if it's not that and it's more of you don't know what you want to study and you want to actually take the time to figure that out, that's fine. But because at the end of the day, you don't want to go to varsity and then you study something and then you realize that you're actually not passionate about it, and then you've wasted a lot of money, or not actually your money, but maybe your parents' money. Yes, it is. So I guess the biggest question for me would be just understanding the why. And then, because like in everything, in every career or whatever you want to do, you want to be passionate about that thing. It has to be that thing that every morning you excited to wake up to go and do that thing that you want to do. And I think that's something that each of us strives to achieve in life, having that greater meaning in whatever we do. So just understanding the why behind everything.
All right. I want to give you guys some facts, right? And these facts are, there aren't enough universities in South Africa for all of us. Okay, and I'll put that in perspective. In America, in the states of California, in the one state alone, there are about 400 universities, okay? They're building universities all the time because people are increasing in number and we just need to have that room and that space. In South Africa, I'm talking about the whole country, we've only got 32 universities. So not being accepted into university is not an indication that you are not good enough. In fact, it might be that you were just too good and they had to filter in some way. So the criteria is really intense in South Africa because they realize we don't have enough room. So I'm telling you this because I don't want that to deter you. When you don't get accepted into university, I don't want you to think, clearly I'm not good enough. clearly I'm not worthy of that space. No, you are, but there just isn't enough room. If 200 people came here today, we could only take the capacity of this room. Not because they don't deserve what this information will help them with, but because we just don't have room. So please, please, please don't let that deter you. You are good enough. There just isn't enough room for all of us. Okay. Number 2, I would say find your magic. Diana said something very interesting, that we're not all geniuses, and I would like to disagree with you. We are all geniuses. We're just not geniuses in the same thing. There are people who are geniuses in singing. Hey, I walked how many meters from the door to here, and I couldn't even speak after that because I was huffing and puffing, nearly blowing someone's house down. Beyonce, have you seen Beyonce's performances? 15 songs, and she's good for every one of those songs to the last one. And she's a genius at that. Me, I'm a genius at other things, and I thrive in those things. But what I want to say is everybody's got magic. Everybody's a genius at something. And when you find your genius and you hone in on that, you zoom into that and you give it your best. Whether giving it your best is in university or in college or by other means of learning, because there are so many means of learning. You do that. You work on your genius and wow the world with who you are and what you have. Deal? Deal? We'll all work at finding what our genius is and we will thrive in that thing. Okay? All right, now I want us to close this panel discussion and I want you to give your 18-year-old self one golden piece of advice. What is the one thing that I didn't touch on that nobody seems to talk about that you would go to your 18-year-old self and say, hey, Sisi, hey, Booty, this is what you need to know. What is that one thing?
Yeah, I mean, if I could put it simply, life is not black and white. That's it. So there isn't fail, success, qualified, didn't qualify. There's always something in between. And yeah, we shouldn't be quick. I mean, I shouldn't have been quick to judge myself when I was 18 in the things that I thought were not right. Maybe they were right at that moment or wrong at that moment. And I just want to go back to what you just said. We are geniuses in our own field. I mean, it's Einstein who said if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, then it would seem stupid. But a fish swims better than everyone.
For sure.
So find your niche.
Yeah.
That's it.
Love it.
What I tell my 18-year-old self is that you'll definitely have bumps on the road, but embrace them and enjoy the journey.
I think the main thing that would summarize my journey this far from 18-year-old until now, I would say see the power of your own story and know the power of using your own voice. Now, why do I say that? I'm somebody who, the person that you see today, a few years ago, I wouldn't even be sitting here because I was that shy person. I'm that person, I'm like, no, I'm not social or whatnot. But you see me now, you're like, what? But it took a journey to get here. It took people believing in me, pushing me in the right direction. So see the power of your own story. We're all different. Our journeys are not the same. So when you see your friend who maybe has finished their degree already, they're working, or they've already done certain things, it doesn't mean that you're not gonna get there. You will, just that our journeys differ. Other ones are more straightforward. Some of us have had to take a lot of detours to get where we are. But at the end of the day, we will all get there. So, own your voice. Thank you.
Man, you guys are fantastic. I would tell my 18-year-old self to be brave. Guys, I had so many good ideas, but I kept them to myself. I had so many good opinions, but I was very afraid to voice those opinions out. I was very afraid. And here's the thing, I was outspoken, I was confident, but when it came to things that I believed were my magic, I always kept them to myself because I did not think that the world was accepting of them. Now, you can't tell me anything. if you want to dim my light, what did we say about everything I touch becomes red because if you don't feed me, fire. Now I'm fire. You know. So I would tell my 18-year-old self to be brave. Those ideas, share them. Those thoughts, share them. The thing you want to do it. The places you want to go. I would tell my 18-year-old self to be brave. When you go into our Absa building, we go in through turnstiles, right? And there's one thing that's written on there. When I see it every day, I get it really does something in my spirit. And it says, the world only turns for the brave. And this was true. If you're gonna be timid and you don't want to, your world will stand still. Nobody around you will move for you if you don't say, I need this moved. Nobody will open doors for you if you don't say you want those doors open. So if you're not going to be brave, don't cry when the world doesn't turn for you. What do you guys have to say about our beautiful and handsome and very brilliant panelists? A round of applause. Thank you guys so much. Azri, Johannes, Violet, thank you so much, you guys.